Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Well, the First Amendment auditors have come for me, and it's quite the riot. I'll have more on that in just a second. So one of the things you learn when you do YouTube is that there is no filter. There's nobody sitting there at YouTube taking care to look at what people write on your site. So you get some squirrely stuff, and I always try to be polite and nice to people who comment, even if they disagree with me. But normally people disagree and then they move on. But not the First Amendment auditor crowd. The First Amendment auditor crowd is such a narrow and select group of incels that they absolutely need to gather all of their people together and then come pounce on the particular channel and leave a bunch of comments. I bet there were probably 30 comments that were left over the last 24 hours on one of my older videos about frauditors. So I thought, as long as people are going to subject me to their comedy gold, I would share their comedy gold with you. So here we go. First off, we have Sure I Can Audit. What a great name. Wow, do you really make a living as a lawyer? Unreal. You're an embarrassment, in my opinion, of course. Yes, I really make a living as a lawyer. And no, I'm not really an embarrassment. But you might want to take a look in the mirror. It's probably not something you're used to doing, and maybe you don't even have any mirrors. But the bottom line is, I think you need to look a little closer at what it is you're advocating. Because when if you had something substantive to say about the videos that I did, I'd be okay with that. But when you just come here and make ad hominem attacks, you just look stupid. So again, my suggestion is go find somebody else to annoy. I don't want to have to block you from the channel. And then we have Liberty Lighthouse here. It says, this video proves that there are lawyers who don't know the U.S. Constitution. Really? You think I don't know the Constitution? Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that you have the right to stick a camera in somebody's face and annoy them, whether they're on government property or not. Each of us has rights, and just as you have a right to film in public, and you do, within limits, time, place, and manner restrictions are appropriate to the First Amendment, even though you have that right, I, as an individual, have a right to ask you not to do that. But First Amendment auditors, they can never find anywhere to go other than the post office or the police station or the parking lot where they park the cruisers. All of these things are done in such a way not to do a story, not to advance some kind of journalistic standard, but rather to provoke a response and then record the response that is provoked, and then claim that they're standing up for the First Amendment. They are not standing up for the First Amendment. They're just generating content for YouTube. And if it means they get popped for a couple of misdemeanors in the process and some trespass, oh well, it's a price they're willing to pay because they know it mines YouTube gold for the bunch of people who watch that nonsense. And for the most part, the video quality on a lot of this stuff is just suboptimal to begin with. Most of these people wouldn't know an actual journalistic principle if it bit them on the thumb. The fact is, journalism is about creating a narrative, about a story. It's about telling a story in a proper format about something that means something. Going into a post office and walking around with a camera and shooting bare walls and people trying to mail letters does not tell a story. Well, I shouldn't say that. It does tell a story. It tells a story about someone who doesn't have anything better than to do than to go in and bother people. And when people make these kinds of comments about not knowing the Constitution and that sort of thing, what it is, it's an ad hominem attack on me because they disagree with my opinion. The fact is, most of the people who agree with my opinion never leave a comment. And the reason they never leave a comment is because, for the most part, all of them agree with me, and it all makes perfect sense to them because they are common sense people. So they don't need to leave a comment. They just go on to the next video. They're going, yeah, that's right. So let me suggest that if you're going to jump on me and attack me because I have had these videos about First Amendment auditors, go right ahead. I'm just not going to waste my time doing this again. I'm gonna go through some of these with you here, but after that, we're done. And I'm probably never going to make another First Amendment auditor video because Schrodinger does a much better job of it than I do, and he's got this whole thing nailed down. He likes to poke fun at people who do stupid things. All right, so we go to Fractus. The best advice he was able to offer was leave them alone. Well, yeah, that is not actually the best advice I offered. The best advice I offered was to get a life, find a job, do something productive. And then solventtrap.com, this is a good one. Proof that being a lawyer is not evidence of intellect. I would suggest that rather this is proof that being a commenter is not evidence of intellect either. Come on, guys. And then you have this gem from Jaybird. You can't get trespassed from public property without committing a crime. That's not true. If you are asked to leave the property and you do not leave the property, that is the crime of trespass. And you can be trespassed, and you should be. If you come onto my lawn and you start filming on my property, I'm going to ask you to leave, and then when you don't leave, I'm going to call the police, and they're going to take you away. And that's because we have private property rights in this country. The private property rights gives us the right to bring people onto our property whom we want and to exclude people that we don't want. So, it's really important to understand what the law is, not what you want the law to be. Because just because you want the law to be some way does not mean that that's the way the law is. Now, the law varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but generally speaking, if you are asked to leave property, it doesn't matter whether it's government property or private property. If you are asked to leave it by a person who has control of the property and you don't do it, you're going to get trespassed. Sorry, that's the way life works. Oh, and then we have the vulgar vixen, which is probably a pretty accurate name here, although I don't know about the vixen part. Vulgar, I think we've got. The only one deserving of pity is anyone who hires you for anything law-related. I've had a pretty successful career, and I do this for fun. I make the law make sense for fun, because that's what I want to do. And to come on here and suggest that someone who hires me deserves pity, most of them who have hired me would disagree with you significantly on that. And then we have the Continental. How far from a person's face is sticking a camera in someone's face? If you have to ask this question, I'm sorry. There's probably not anything I can tell you that would help you. If you are filming and you're filming in a building and you walk up to somebody with a camera and you invade their personal space, you know what you're doing. Don't suggest that there's some distance measuring metric that can be used to make it less offensive or less annoying. And then we have Karen Baker. Probably not her real name, although she clearly is a Karen. Has JD done an IQ test? What did he score? Well, JD did do an IQ test probably 40 years ago, and I had a 167 IQ. Not making that up, so you can take it for what it's worth. And now, Roger Colburn here, he has an interesting take on things. And I have to give him credit because he kept his comment clean, and it was, at the very least, a thoughtful comment. So kudos to Roger. Who is this video for? As a lawyer, it seems to tell any potential client, don't hire me. Well, actually, it is for the enjoyment of people who watch the video. That's who the video is for. As to whether it tells somebody not to hire me, I wouldn't be hired by you anyway. I'd be hired by your lawyer. I'm an appellate lawyer. Usually after someone's lawyer either secures a verdict or gets bounced from a verdict, that's when I get hired, and that's when I do my work. And usually it's another lawyer who hires me. So appreciate the concern for my employability, but honestly, guys, you're missing the boat here. And there is one, Ring 2042. Ring 2042 says, abolish qualified immunity. I would not say abolish it, but I would certainly restrict it to situations where it actually would do some good. So that's where we stand on the First Amendment auditor stuff. This is pure gold, folks. I mean, if you want to make my day, just continue to fill up my inbox with these nonsensical rantings, and I will continue from this point forward just to ignore them, because I'm not going to convince you, you're not going to convince me, so, do what you have to do. That's what I'm going to say. I will say it one more time, just for the benefit of people who may not have caught the drift of this. First Amendment auditing is no more than sticking a camera in someone's face to provoke a response, recording that response, and then claiming that you're standing up for the First Amendment. You're not. You know you're not. You're doing it to generate content. And in some cases, you're involved in acts that are so dangerous to you and to the people around you and to the police officers that are summoned to deal with you that you should truly be ashamed of your comment. I'm thinking of you, News Now Omaha. So, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I may or may not respond to them, depending on what they are. So, have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. As always, nothing in this is intended to be legal advice. That's what my little trailer says. If you haven't already, please go over here and subscribe to the channel. Tap on the notification bell. And thanks. Have a great day, and I'll catch you on here next time.